You ready?
Yeah.
All right. You gonna hit the record button?
Oh, fam, I already did.
You family, man. All right. So, how about this UFC 224 card that's shaping up, man?
Yeah. It's shaping up.
Shaping up a little bit, man. I gotta tell you, at first, I wasn't too excited about this card, man. You know, it seemed like a little bit of a snooze fest compared to what's coming a little bit later.
I think that's exactly what it is. There's so much exciting shit on the horizon that this one kind of pales in comparison. But the more and more me and you kind of looked at it, dude, the main card is kind of stacked.
It's real decent. It's real decent. I mean, and you know, I hate to keep harping on episode after episode, but it is super exciting times in MMA right now, in the UFC right now, when a card like this is just considered to be, you know, an okay card.
Meh.
Yeah, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, another card.
Yeah.
So.
No, it's a decent card. I'm really thoroughly excited about the whole main card. A lot of people are like, oh, you should have had Belfort versus Machida on the main card, or on the main event. Why?
No, that's not. You know, maybe, I mean, obviously 5, 6, 8 years ago, all day and tomorrow you should have Vitor Belfort and Leon Machida.
But when you got Belfort showing up to the weigh-ins or the face-off in his bathrobe,
I mean, my man's is ready for a nice nap, is what it seems like.
I think that's subliminally him telling Machida, you need to put me to sleep, man. That's the only way I'm leaving after this fight.
That's how it comes across to me. So that particular fight, I mean, obviously, two guys that are legends, two guys that were huge names in the sport in their day.
Oh yeah.
But also, you know, I mean, two guys that have overstayed their welcome, man.
Yeah. And one guy that drinks entirely too much of his own piss.
I mean, I'm
made you choke a little bit.
Yeah, you know, I'm not sure that there's an acceptable level of that.
I mean, if we're in the end time, sure, do that all day. If you're Bear Grylls, sure, let your piss sit out in the sun and drink some of it, but that's gross. Anyways, I think it's a decent little main card there. I don't know if you did, Nedim. I went on the UFC app. We started our own little fantasy fight league. TRNT. I started that up. Did you make your picks?
Honestly, my man.
Fam.
I've been dealing with the plague over here. I barely made it out to Tap City Studios today to record.
Man.
I've been literally working and sleeping every goddamn day all week.
That's called adulthood. I've been working, sleeping, fixing lawnmowers and garbage disposals, taking care of my son, and making the UFC 224 picks.
Listen, family, by the time I get to the age of 45, I'll probably be able to know how to balance all that as well.
All right, whatever. We'll get your picks on the fly then. So we'll go from the bottom up. The first fight on that main card, I believe, is John Lineker versus Kelleher. Could be slaughtering his name, not her name. But I know who John Lineker is, and he's a pretty dope fighter. I like his style. He's super aggressive. I believe this should be my forte, but I'm pretty sure he's a 125er.
Okay, yeah, that definitely should be your forte.
That should be. I'm trying to think who he fought. He fought DJ. So yeah, he's 125. Actually, he moved up to 135. I'm pretty sure he's a bantamweight now.
That's right.
Because it was super tough for him to make that weight.
Brian Kelleher at bantamweight, so he's at 135.
135.
Pounds.
That should be a pretty decent fight. I'm actually looking at the app right now, and for that fight, I did pick Lineker. I think he's gonna get him on decision. I just picked decision for him, so prove me wrong.
But hey, look, you know what I mean. This guy, Brian Kelleher, in his last fight, if you look, he got the unanimous decision against Renan Barão.
Yeah, but Renan Barão is another one of those ones when USADA came in. He just didn't really look the same. You know what I mean? Like, TJ Dillashaw just gave it to him, and then ever since then, he's been on a really bad skid. So, I mean, not to take anything away from him, but he is a former champ. But
he's got a lot of name recognition.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Obviously.
Yeah.
One of the few guys at that low of a weight that I've ever heard of, and so on and so forth.
If Nedim knows about him, then there's somebody in the 125.
Yeah, 135 must be somebody when I know who. I mean,
yeah, I like Lineker in that fight though, so I'm gonna go with Lineker.
I'll take Renan Barão. I'll take the experience.
Renan Barão or Kelleher?
Renan or what? What? Yeah, I mean the Renan Barão beater.
There you go.
Kelleher. Because obviously, I don't know a lot about this weight class. I have heard Lineker's name be thrown around left and right.
You and I talked about it before.
The guy's big, but when we're talking about these low weights, and I don't know a lot, I'm gonna just go with the underdog. I'm gonna go with Kelleher.
I feel you. Yeah, it's I can almost guarantee we'll come back to this next week, and I think this might be one of the most exciting fights on the card. I'm not even gonna lie.
There might be some nice violence.
Yeah, involved. I think so. Lineker is just, he goes crazy on dudes. So
and that's what I've heard. What I've heard.
So, all right, cool. So you got Kelleher. I'll take Lineker. Next up, we have Mackenzie Dern taking on ABC, and that stands for Amanda Bobby Cooper.
Bobby
is her middle name.
A woman with the middle name Bobby.
Yeah.
I used to work with a girl named Stevie.
That's kind of cool.
Her name was Stevie.
Well, you got Stevie Nicks. That's probably, I don't know if you know who that is. Fleetwood Mac.
Maybe I'm too foreign for that.
Man. Yeah, I think maybe. We'll call it that. Good.
Whatever. Shout out to the girls named Stevie of the world.
Stevies and Andys and all those.
Taylors and Tylers and that.
There you go.
Why not? So I think in that fight, it's pretty obvious who I'm going to pick.
Oh, yeah.
Mackenzie Dern all day and tomorrow. Shout out to the BJJ community and the queen thereof.
Always.
So
yeah. I'm right there with you. I think I'm gonna jump on the hype train. I don't know much about ABC, but she seems pretty game, and she's like already visualizing the win. I watched some pre-fight interviews, and yeah, she seems like she's ready to shock the world. She feels the hype train behind Mackenzie Dern. There's some weird, super awkwardness when they faced off. I don't know if you saw this. They went in, and Mackenzie stuck her hand out to shake her hand. And at first, Cooper didn't put her hand out. And then finally, she's like, oh, okay, fuck it. So she put her fists up. And then Cooper put her hand back out to give her the handshake. So they shook hands and then went back up to squaring off. And then they did the thing where they kind of nodded their heads and went to shake hands again. They shook hands again. Then they faced the crowd, put their hands up, got the pictures in. And then Mackenzie Dern turned back around and tried to get a third fucking handshake in. It's like, how many times you got to shake her hand? And then she kind of...
I think that's kind of a case of two, really nice girls.
Yeah.
Good human beings, raised
Absolutely.
well, whatever the case may be.
But...
who are over here trying to act tough or trying to sell it or trying to... whatever the case may be.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I think... I don't want to say Dern got ahead of herself, but leading up to this fight, she's been saying a lot of stuff like... I think my last fight made a lot more challenges for me than Cooper is gonna. Like she's kind of overlooking her already. So I don't know if she's afraid she's gonna eat those words now or not. But it's kind of like slightly disrespectful to kind of overlook opponents, man.
I mean, especially when it's only your second fight in the UFC, especially when you've only been doing MMA itself for. What, maybe a
couple
year?
Years, yeah.
Maybe a couple.
And like I said in the last episode, when me and you talked about her, I didn't think her stand up was anything great. Like she looked kind of slow and sluggish, and her jujitsu is obviously there, but
and there, there's gonna be a learning curve.
Oh yeah.
Shout out Fabricio. He turned about 49 before he developed a
striking game. Yeah.
So
So
it takes time, man. There's a learning curve, but she's young. She's younger than me. The girl's 25 years old. She's getting into MMA now. She doesn't plan to be in it for too terribly long. And then also, the other interesting thing about Mackenzie Dern is either before or after her last fight, leading up to this fight, she actually switched camps.
Oh, Already?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I guess she was living in California, lives in California, and then the commute to Arizona to train with her then current camp just wasn't really working out. And she's also already making comments that she wants to kind of slow down her fight schedule. Like this is too quick of a pace for her.
I can see that.
And so forth.
Yeah, if she wants to make, however long of a run of this, yeah, she's gonna have to slow down a little bit and not take so many fights. So she does.
When was her last fight? We watched that fight.
Yeah, that was damn, when was that? That was very recent. That was like
yeah,
I can't remember. It was February maybe.
We might only be talking about maybe 3 months between fights here.
No, I think it was in March. I think it was like March. Yeah, it was a pretty quick turnaround for her. But I just want to point out, and I don't want you to talk right now after I say this, because then it will turn into
March 3rd. Go ahead.
Okay, March 3rd. Perfect. I just want to point out to the fact that we're 3 for 3 now, or you're 3 for 3, shouting out Fabricio Verdum, and my boy has not fought since what? Oh, since Volkov starched him too. That was that one. Remember that one? He lost his last fight. I don't know if you knew that.
Can we stick to the script, family? Can we stick to what we were going to talk about?
All right, 3 for 3 though. All right, so we're both taking Dern on that one. Quick turnaround for her. Yeah, if she wants to stick around for a little bit, she's gonna have to space him out.
Slow that pace down.
Slow your roll.
You can't fight every, 2 months, 2.5 months. It's pretty crazy.
Then up next we have Jacare Souza versus Kevin Gastelum at middleweight.
I believe it's Jacare.
Jacare? What did I say? Jacare?
Yeah.
I think it's whatever. Tomato. Jacare. What'd you say?
Jacare.
Jacare. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm not the professional here at pronouncing names, man. It's bad.
That's all right. I'm pretty sure most of the listeners will be able to figure out what you're trying to say. That's all right. But yeah, Jacare Souza, Calvin Gastelum. Calvin Gastelum obviously coming off a great performance. Jacare,
I think his last fight was against Yoel, actually, when he got beat.
Well, 9.5 out of 10 people are going to get beat by Yoel Romero.
Oh yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I like Kevin Gastelum, man. He's it's funny. He was fighting at 170 for a while, and that weight cut for him was pretty tough. So he moved up to middleweight, and he seems to have found his stride. He is a little smaller, like height wise. Mm-hmm. But I mean, when he fought Weidman, he did really well. Obviously, he fought Bisping the last time and knocked him out. So I mean, dude's got some power. He's been looking really good. Souza,
and he's been around for a while.
Yeah, he's been around.
Gastelum's been around for a little minute.
Him and Uriah Hall, they were on the Ultimate Fighter together, and they were the ones who had to fight. Gastelum ended up winning that fight. So, that's going to be a pretty good fight. And
Souza is actually coming off a win.
Oh, is he? Who'd he fight then?
He fought Derek Brunson.
Oh, that's right.
And he KO'd him by a head kick.
I don't remember that though. Yeah. Okay.
They actually headlined UFC on Fox, which
that's right.
Isn't saying a huge amount.
Right. That was one of those ones that I didn't watch actually.
Yeah, it was back in January, end of January.
And that was in Brazil too, wasn't it?
That
that
was actually in a part of Brazil called Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Yep, Charlotte, North Carolina, Brazil.
I'm not sure if that's Jacare's home region or not.
That's his home region, North Carolina. Oh, God. I mean, odds makers are calling that a tight matchup between them. I think so, too, but I'm going to give it to my man Gastelum. I think he's going to knock him out or TKO, and I'm calling it round 2.
I think it's going to be an exciting fight. I think it's got a chance to be the fight of the night.
Oh, for sure.
I think there's going to be a lot of violence because you got two guys that love to mix it up. As far as who gets the nod from me, I'm going to have to go with Gastelum as well. He's been consistently better over the past few fights. He's the younger fighter. But he still has that experience. He's been around for a while. I'll say it goes to decision.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll say he wins via unanimous decision. I know, like I said, it figures to be a fight full of violence, full of, sticking in the pocket and really banging. But I don't think either of these guys are really known to have a suspect chin. Really, they got a decent amount of heart.
No, yeah, I think Gastelum has a good chin. Yeah. Souza has been kind of questionable lately. He's gotten rocked a couple times. He got rocked really bad in that Romero fight. But
who doesn't get rocked real bad in a Romero
seriously
fight?
But that kind of makes me think, like, what's going to happen on the ground if it goes to the ground? I don't think we've ever seen Gastelum's ground game that much. You know what I mean?
I think, as far as that goes, if Jacare is able to get Gastelum on the ground, I think the fight's over.
He might be in trouble.
I think he locks in, God willing, the rear naked choke.
God willing.
Or, a nice little guillotine or a nice little Kimura or a nice little toe hold, if you will. Shout out Dylan Dennis. Nice little toe hold.
Nice toe hold, yeah.
Make the crossover. Let the toe hold cross over into the UFC.
Right. Make its way. Actually, we did skip one. I thought Belfort and Machida was going to be higher up, but I guess that's going to kick off the main card. So let's go ahead and talk about this exciting fight. I think it will be an exciting fight. It'll be pretty cool, but it's one of those fights that's kind of, who cares at this point?
Exactly. You sit here and you try to predict this fight. You try to make a pick in this fight, but at the end of the day, whoever wins, they should both retire. Yeah, that's all I know.
I think they are. I think they both said that. So Machida's been around for a while. I think he's pushing 40. Belfort is over 40, I think, or right there too. So I mean, this one, I gave it to Machida, and I think he's gonna get it done in the second round. First round, Belfort has been consistent as far as you can't really get him finished. He's the most dangerous within that first round. So, if Machida can make it out of that first round, I think he's got a chance to finish him in the second. So that's what I'm going to go with.
I'm inclined to go with Machida in this fight as well.
Yeah.
But again, I see this fight going to decision too. You are right about the fact that Vitor comes out strong in the first round, then runs out of gas tank. I think we all know why that is. After the whole ban of TRNT and so on and so forth. I think we saw, a large decline with Vitor. Whereas Lyoto, you never really get the sense that guy was ever really, juicing or anything like that. He just,
he's on a different kind of juice.
He's on his own juice. Yeah, he I don't want to talk about that for too long, but back in the day when he was winning left and right and knocking motherfuckers out and won 10 fights in a row or however many in a row, he actually won 16 fights in a row to start his career.
Oh yeah,
and the 16th win was against Shogun Ahua. So back then, I'm sure there were people following his lead and drinking their own piss.
Oh, gross.
But it doesn't seem to have given him any type of longevity.
Or any real advantage in a fight.
I mean, he got knocked out by Derek Brunson. He got knocked out by Yoel Romero. He got submitted via rear naked choke by Luke Rockhold.
Mm-hmm. John Jones back in the day had that sweet-ass guillotine that the ref didn't even see that he was asleep.
Yeah.
That was dope. I wonder if he ever, and this will be the last thing I'll say about this, I promise. I wonder if he ever looked at it and was like, oh, I just lost this fight. I need more piss. No comment?
Yeah, let's just let that be the last thing you say about that one.
All right.
Man.
All right.
So leave the man in his piss alone.
Sure.
Maybe if he wins the fight, maybe somebody asks him how much piss he drinks and all that. I don't know, whatever the case may be. Like I said, I got Machida because they're both old. They're both at, hole 18. Mm-hmm. But, I think Lyoto's playing with the same level of hormones he's ever played with. So, You know what I mean? It'll be a more regular fight for him. Whereas Vitor Belfort, man, ever since USADA came in, ever since they slapped his wrist and said no more TRT, Vitor, obviously he has been a shell of his former self.
Oh yeah, he's had little glimmers, but yeah, I'll agree. He hasn't been the same since they gave him that slap on the wrist. So
shout out Alistair Overeem. Shout out.
He looked a little softer too, right?
Just a tad.
Just
bit,
a tad.
You know, and then when Francis Ngannou blasted him off into the stratosphere, So.
And then the main event, Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington for the women's. What is this one? This is the they're not, I don't know what weight class they are. They're like 35ers.
I believe they're 35ers.
35ers.
Hold on a second, man. How got to do your homework, boo boo.
I know, man.
Yeah, we're talking about the 135, the women's bantamweight.
There we go. Women's bantamweight. I had the right idea, but I was like, I can't remember if she's 35 or not. So I think this is going to be a crazy fight. There's a lot of people that are kind of like, boo this fight. Like, no, this shouldn't be the main event. I know she doesn't have the draw right now, but dude, Amanda Nunes is for real. She's legit. Not because she beat Ronda Rousey.
Well, partly because she beat
sure,
Ronda
she got
Rousey.
the recognition off of that, but Ronda was already broken at that point. Holly Holm broke Ronda Rousey. So that fight to me didn't really solidify her as any champion. Oddly enough, I think it did for her. She was like, I want to beat Ronda. And it's like, why? Holly Holm already kind of did that and showed the huge chink in her armor. And now you want to go in and pick up the broken pieces and break them a little bit more? Like, it wasn't anything that solidified her to me. She was already a great fighter going into that for me. So, and then Raquel Pennington, there's no slight to her because she's equally a freaking beast. I think this could potentially be a slugfest and just a testament of their will. Who's going to impose their will and who's going to, have that stronger chin, take the shots. So it's going to be an interesting one. I'll let you go first on who you think's going to take that one.
So we do have Raquel Pennington on a 4-fight winning streak.
Oh yeah, she's been on tear.
She's kind of been beaten
Who's her last fight?
in that division. Her last fight she won against Miesha Tate.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But that was in November of 2016.
Yeah, that was a while ago. I was gonna say it's been a minute.
Yeah, Raquel Pennington has been on a nice little hiatus. So it'll be real interesting to see how she, shakes off the rust, if there is any. And so on and so forth. I believe that was obviously the fight that retired Miesha Tate. Mm-hmm. Cupcake. Shout out Cupcake.
That was another fight, too. Excuse me. That was another fight where I feel like, Pennington probably felt really good about that fight. And I don't want to take anything away from that win either. But that wasn't the same Miesha Tate. It was so weird because she looked exactly how Ronda looked in the fight against Nunes. Like, she looked like she didn't want to be there. She looked like she didn't belong there. She looked like she forgot all of her training. She just wasn't invested in it at all. So I think she made a smart choice in bowing out and saying, I'm done.
Yeah, and I think that was just a certain point in Miesha Tate's career. I think after the fact, the interviews came out and she basically said that no matter what would have happened in that fight, she would have retired.
Yeah.
So she was just kind of already at that point.
You know? Now she's about to have a baby.
Yeah, so she's, kind of moving on.
Yeah, shout out to her. She's in a new chapter of her life.
Shout out to Miesha Tate. I believe she'll always be regarded as a legend.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
In women's MMA, obviously, along with, Ronda and so on. So, before that, she beat Elizabeth Phillips, Beth Correia.
Okay.
And Jessica Andrade.
Really?
Yeah. The interesting thing is her and Jessica Andrade each have a fight on each other. So Jessica Andrade beat Raquel Pennington in the finale of that year's Ultimate Fighter.
Yep.
Or no, her first fight after that, rather.
Oh, okay.
Her first fight after that, UFC 171. Jessica Andrade beat Raquel Pennington by a split decision. Mm-hmm. So nothing spectacular. And then back at UFC 191, September of 15. Now you're going to like this one.
Oh.
Raquel Pennington beat Jessica Andrade via. How would you guess that she beat her?
Could it have been the rear naked choke?
A nice deep one.
Oh.
A nice deep one.
Shout out to Raquel Pennington sinking in the RNC. Free boys here at TRNT.
Last submission win for her. Ever since then, she's been kind of on a tear of decisions, and that's
just
fine.
Tearing up the decisions.
They've been unanimous, good enough.
In the UD, that's good.
Why not? Whatever.
I think she's a game fighter. I think it's gonna be a pretty competitive fight. Then again, the way Nunez has been beating chicks up, I don't know, man. I've been watching some of her highlights, and she's just got really good striking. Like, phenomenal striking.
Amanda Nunez, like I said, I mean, part of the hype behind Amanda Nunez obviously was the win over Ronda Rousey. Mm-hmm. But like you're saying, even apart from that, Amanda Nunez is legitimately a beast.
Oh, yeah.
An absolute beast. And she's also obviously on a run of about 6 wins. She last beat Valentina Shevchenko.
Okay, yep, I remember that.
UFC 215 back last September. Split decision, okay. Before that, Legendary beat Ronda Rousey.
Mm-hmm.
Did she actually beat a complete version of Ronda Rousey? Did she beat an already broken version of Ronda Rousey? I guess that's maybe up for debate rather. She definitely fought a version of Ronda Rousey that still had a fucking idiot for coach.
Oh my god.
I wasn't teaching her anything.
Yeah.
So she, she probably did beat a subprime version of Ronda Rousey, but a win against Ronda Rousey is a win against Ronda Rousey.
You'll like this. I'll give you one more opportunity to shout out Verdum for smacking Ronda Rousey's dumbass coach in the cage. Do you remember that? After Verdum fought Travis Brown.
Travis Brown, that's right.
And Travis Brown went to his camp.
Yep.
What is that dude's name? What is his name? The trainer for Ronda Rousey. It's not that important. I don't want to give him any more.
Taverdian?
Yeah. He's some kind of
name.
like Armenian or something.
But Fabricio push kicked him, right? Something like that. Yeah, he push kicked him.
Right in the fucking chest.
Yeah. Shout out Fabricio Verdum.
Okay, now we're done. All right. Anyways.
Anyways, and then before that, she beat Misha Tate.
Uh-huh.
Before that, she had another win over Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, she's made half her career of beating the shit out of Valentina Shevchenko.
Yeah, they got some bad blood.
Yep.
That chick, she's Valentina. She's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But who you taking in the fight then? You got Nunez.
I got Nunez.
You got Nunez?
I got Nunez.
What you think?
Nunez is an absolute beast. I say Nunez via TKO in the second round.
TKO second round. Well, I think she's gonna get it done in the first round. I don't know, man. I think these girls are just gonna go out and just rock and sock them and just go toe to toe. And I think Nunez is gonna catch her and drop her. And it's either gonna be just cold blooded KO or a TKO. But I think she gets it done and she's gonna stay champ. So yeah. I mean, undercard. I'm not sure who these guys are. Most of the guys, because they're local Brazilians. No disrespect to them, but these are the 5 fights that I think I'm excited about. And as the build-up has gone on throughout the weeks, I feel a little bit more excited to watch it. So,
yeah, I mean, it's definitely coming off as a little bit less of a snooze fest. A real viable card.
Yeah.
A real, good to watch type of card. As far as value for the money, I mean, you do got to shell out. Money for the pay-per-view.
It is a pay-per-view. Yeah. So, maybe we'll go to B-Dubs.
Yeah.
And watch it for $20 and get some wings out of the deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why not? So,
I want to talk about. So, there's been some crazy news this week, and if fake news has ever been more relevant in the MMA community, I don't think it was ever really relevant. We were like, oh no, there's legitimate sources saying this fight's going to happen. But there's just so much of these crazy matchups being announced that you kind of feel like, dude, this can't be real.
there's been some super suspicious matchups that have been announced, but there's also been some super viable matchups that have been announced that are honestly making your boy moister than an oyster, if you will.
So the first one was that I heard about, at least, was the Rockhold versus Gustafsson. And initially when I heard it, they said it was going to be for the interim light heavyweight title. And I was like, what in the actual fuck? And you and I went back and forth about this. I'm like, dude, this is bullshit. Rockhold just got knocked cold the fuck out by the soldier of God. He put the fear of God in Rockhold. And now he's going to get to jump up in weight class, 20 pounds, and immediately fight for a title.
Well, and here's the thing, and you and I did go back and forth about this.
Good conversation.
It was a good conversation, and I think that what you have to keep in mind, all right, and it's something that, part of it is something that drives Dana White crazy, and that fighters don't like to fight their teammates.
Yeah.
Is part of what contributes to it. But the simple fact of the light heavyweight division is this. Even though there are a lot of viable contenders in that division, even though it's not in as much of a lull as it was a year ago when everybody was worried that the light heavyweight division was dying and that there was nobody outside of Jones in DC and blah 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 blah. The interesting thing about light heavyweight is that you have this bad man named Alexander Alex the Mauler Gustafsson, who just so happens to, rather inconveniently for the current purposes, own a win over every single viable contender in the light heavyweight division that's not named Daniel
DC.
Cormier or John Jones.
Right.
You got one more guy who it'd probably be a little bit of a stretch to call him a possible top contender. Goes by the name of Ilir Latifi. A Swede of probably Albanian origins, judging by his name.
Yeah, he's Swede, yeah.
But he happens to be Alex's teammate.
Yeah.
So that fight isn't going to go down.
Yep.
So you have this situation where my boy Alex the Mauler done beat everybody, family.
Right.
He done beat all of them. It's like
Pokemon,
you gotta catch them all. Alex hit him with that. You gotta beat them all.
You gotta beat them all.
He did. The only guy that's currently active, and even that with an asterisk, because his next fight's going to be at heavyweight, the only guy active in the light heavyweight division that owns a win over Alex the Mauler is DC.
Yeah.
So you run into this situation where, okay, so DC is obviously off getting ready to fight Stipe. John Jones is obviously off
doing the bump of coke and messing with some hookers.
He's off doing whatever, hitting and running pregnant ladies or whatever the case may be. Posting videos on Instagram of himself deadlifting ungodly amounts of weight and then acting surprised when people accuse him of taking steroids and shit. Well, maybe if you fucking didn't post videos of you deadlifting a goddamn Boeing engine, people wouldn't think that you were fucking taking steroids, you dumbass. Anyways, quick little rant. Sorry about that. Back to Alex the Mauler. And back to this situation in light heavyweight. I mean...
But no, I think you and I went through that, and, obviously you showed your expertise there, because I'm like, okay, fuck this. I want to win this argument or this conversation with Nedim. And I'm like, let me pull up the rankings and see who he got. So I start throwing names out. I'm like, what about this dude? And a couple of them I knew he beat. Glover Teixeira's right there. A couple of other guys. And I knew Latifi, Queen Latifi. I knew he was his teammate. That wasn't going to happen. But I started throwing out, okay, here's a number 4 guy. And you're like, he already beat him. I'm like, oh, shit. So literally that division, with or without DC, is completely logjam. Unless you want to start giving these people some rematches against Gus, which, let's be honest, for Gus, what does that do for him? You know, he wants to be challenged.
The man is coming off a long layoff. He's coming off a long injury layoff. Some rehab on his shoulder. Something about a separated collarbone.
Yeah, separated.
Or some other super gnarly sounding shit that only a Viking could properly recover from.
Bro, he is a Viking, man. It's funny. Leading up, I was a huge John Jones fan, right? Yeah. So leading up to that fight with him and John Jones, they were talking about making that a fight, and he fought Shogun, and I was hating on Gustafsson bad. I'm like, you know, and if you compare Jones's performance against Shogun and Gustafsson's, you can kind of see why. Like, Jones just absolutely dismantled him, and Gustafsson kind of hung in there with him and got I don't know if he finished him or not, but he won, but not in as dominant fashion. But then when Jones and Gustafsson fought, holy shit, dude, that was like they were each other's equal. They were yin and yang.
That was absolutely the Gustafsson-Jones fight was probably, without any type of exaggeration, one of the better fights I've ever watched.
Oh, absolutely. I just rewatched it. I posted it on our Instagram, and dude, that fight was crazy. So after that, I became the hugest Gustafsson fan. I'm like, this dude is a fucking beast. He's a Viking warrior. You know what I mean? And that's what Dana told him after that fight. He's like, dude, you don't have anything to worry about. Your stock just went through the fucking roof. And he was right. Gustafsson is now like legitimized himself. And look, he's the gatekeeper. No one can beat him. I want to see him as champion. I really do.
This brings me back a little bit to another guy who beat Gustafsson, and then, you know, a couple fights later decided to retire.
Oh, Rumble.
That was such a shame to me, man. Rumble at 205 had out of this world potential.
Oh yeah, but I was really disappointed in him when he fought DC. I didn't like that fight at all, and I don't know.
Listen, man. Unless somebody's name is John Jones, you're gonna be disappointed with their performance against DC.
Right.
I think we've pretty well learned that at this point.
Yeah, DC.
But I think if you let Rumble have another crack at DC, I think it'd be a different fight.
I think so.
I think if you let Alex the Mauler have another crack at DC, I think it'd be a completely different fight.
I fucking hope so, because that fight pissed me off.
The Mauler actually recently did interview a podcast with my fellow Chrome Dome, Joe Rogan, and he straight up admitted to Joe in that interview, you know, I went about the DC fight completely the wrong way.
Yeah.
I stayed in the pocket. There was absolutely no reason I should have stayed in the pocket. And, you know, to do it over again, I would definitely do it differently.
I would hope so.
That's the thing about DC. Save for John Jones, nobody's fought DC more than once.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like some of these guys, if you gave them a second opportunity against DC, they'd have a good chance of taking him out.
Yeah.
I feel like Alex would have a good chance of taking him out. I feel like Rumble would have a good chance of taking him out.
Yeah, I think so. I'd give him more to Gus than Rumble, but anyways, back to the fight at hand here. You got Rockhold, former 185er, moving up, and I'm pretty sure it's confirmed. It's not for the light heavyweight title. Dana confirmed that, so thank God. But I guess to Nedim's point, I probably wouldn't be mad if they did that, because it's like, who else? But dude, I don't think Rockhold's gonna like the outcome of this fight, man.
Listen, first of all, I don't think you put enough respect on Luke Rockhold's name.
Oh, really?
All right. First of all,
okay.
Listen, I am by no means the biggest Luke Rockhold fan.
Okay.
I think he's a little bit of a douche.
Yeah.
He got into a little bit of a scuffle with my boy at one point, and I don't like that at all. All right. But Luke Rockhold needs to be given his due. He beat the man who beat the man.
Oh, come on. Dude, Weidman lost that fight.
However you want to call it. He starched him. He starched the man who beat the man.
I don't know. I think personally, and maybe I should put more respect on his name, but personally, I think Rockhold's kind of overrated. Like when he was the Strikeforce champ, I'm like, who is he even fighting over there to be the champ? And I know Souza was over there, and they had a fight or two, I think. But ever since he's came over here in these big fights where he's like so close to getting the belt, Bisping knocks him out. Belfort knocks him out. Romero knocks him out. You know what I mean? Like, dude has a pretty weak chin at 185. So now you're going to go up to 205?
But let's be clear on something. Luke Rockhold got knocked out by TRT PED Vitor Belfort. Let's make that clear.
He got kicked in the head, but he still got knocked out, bro. I don't care. TRT or no TRT, he got knocked out in a fight he was supposed to win. I don't think I can give too much handicap or leniency, whatever you want to call it, to someone who got knocked out by someone who takes TRT or any performance enhancing drugs when they're older, when they're an old man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I can't. You're supposed to win that fight.
I mean, this was 5 years ago. Vitor was only 33, 34.
4.
He was in his prime.
Yeah.
This was Vitor on juice in his prime. Don't even listen. I know we encouraged y'all to do the comments and the conversation with us, but don't slide in my DMs talking about Vitor was never on the juice, please.
Oh no!
Please don't come at me with that.
Yeah, I won't argue with you there for sure. I mean, just look at the before and after. Like he looked like a friggin' bodybuilder, and then he looked like he had the dad bod.
That's right. And now he almost straight up looks skinny and famished. So,
yeah.
You know, Vitor is Vitor. You know, he is always going to be a legend of the sport because he started out real early,
super
in the game
young,
and everything. So he deserves some respect on his name. But I believe you're really overlooking Luke Rockhold. I believe you ain't giving him enough credit. Listen,
can't.
Don't take this the wrong way.
Okay.
All right. Don't take this east when you should be taking it west or whatever. But I'm pretty much the biggest Alex the Mauler fan that there is.
Okay.
You know, my fellow European.
Sure.
Different part of Europe, but, you know, it is what it is.
Same continent.
And I'm quite confident that Alex the Mauler will get the win in that fight.
Yeah.
I believe Alex the Mauler is head and shoulders above Luke Rockhold when it comes to skill in fighting.
Sure.
I think Alex the Mauler will pull out an incredibly violent combo of punches and kicks to absolutely beat Luke Rockhold back into thinking about being a Hollister model again, or whatever the fuck he was doing there for a minute.
Oh, he's still doing it. He's trying to secure his future after this, because hopefully he knows, like, I can't take 2 more of these knockouts that I've been eating up. No, I think definitely Gustafsson is going to absolutely eat Rockhold up. I mean, and respect or no respect, sure, okay, I'll give him a little bit of respect. But not a lot. I don't think he's an elite fighter. I don't think he's in that same class as, like, you know, the DCs, the John Jones, the Gustafsson, you know, there's a different level to each of these weight classes.
There's levels to this shit.
There's levels to this shit, fam, and he's not on that level. I don't think he is. So that's where I'm coming from. And my main frustration was when I thought he was going to get the interim title. And I'm like, no. There's no fucking way that happens. And there's a lot of people that are thinking it's some subliminal shit with Rockhold wanting to fight DC. calling him out.
That's
subliminally.
That's a pretty crazy notion.
That is a crazy notion. But he did leave AKA. He's not training there anymore. He's down in Florida training with the dude that DC just beat. He is still coming around his AKA brothers and da-da-da. But you can tell something's kind of off. Like, he's not as excited and engaged with those people when they're out in the public eye. I can't speak for how they talk on the phone or, what they do outside of it, but there's something that's changed in that dynamic. So it'd be interesting to see how this thing develops.
I always felt like Luke Rockhold was a little bit of a quiet douche snake in the grass type guy in the first place.
Like a Dillashaw. I always loved the meme, though, when I think it was Nate Diaz. What? What are you looking at me all crazy for?
I can't wait till we start, there starts being a video portion to all of this so you can see the faces.
The facial expressions.
The expressions. When Brandon decides to say some ignorant ass shit.
Bro, Dillashaw was a fucking snake. He was a fucking snake.
Shit, man.
He's a fucking snake. McGregor called it before it even happened, and that shit happened. Mystic Mac strikes again. No. What I was going to say, though, Rockhold's kind of douchey and kind of awkward. There was that one meme where Nate Diaz was throwing up, his Stockton and whatever, and then they showed Rockhold right next to him, and he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It was like throwing like the surfs up dude, and like then he just kind of went back to like, it was the most awkward shit ever. If you haven't seen it, you got to fucking look that up because that was pretty funny.
I'll make sure to do that.
Yeah, look that up.
Rockhold, as always, he never had much of a personality to me.
Yeah.
Not nearly like DC. Because DC has his moments where he's jumping around and screaming and he's got all the charisma in the world. Yeah. And then he's got his moments where he's trying to son John Jones and trying to be holier than thou and just being a crybaby little bitch sometimes.
Calm down. But no, there was a lot of weird fights introduced. So that was one. Then they talked about GSP and Nate Diaz. And I was like, what? And then on top of it, at 155, so GSP is going to fight at 185, come back and fight at 155. Like, I don't know. But, I mean, they're talking about it for the August card. And we'll see if that happens. But, I don't know. That's a weird fight. But
super weird fight. And like I told you when we first kind of started discussing that topic, I have had it about to the top of my bald-ass head with GSP, all right? Because the man came, he fought Bisping, he took the title, and everybody got moister than a oyster, man. Oh, here's GSP, he's back, he's got the title, he's going to defend it, he's going to this, he's going to that. Then what did he do? Fuck you. I'm out.
I'm going to go balance on a triple beam. Or whatever it is. Triple beam, I think, is drugs, but
sawhorse, cow horse, whatever they do in gymnastics family.
Those things.
All of that. And now, all of a sudden, he's coming back to fight the little Diaz at 155.
I don't know if that'll go down.
I always thought GSP was a little small for 185.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's a little big for 155. I don't know
about 155. I think that's going to be a cut that he's going to have trouble making.
Yeah.
Especially now that he's a little bit older.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now that he's not fighting regularly at all. He's not going through camps, as far as we know, regularly at all. He's not doing a real rigorous cut at all. And now all of a sudden he's going to fight at 155. I don't see that fight even happening.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think GSP probably isn't going to come through on that one because that is going to be a tough cut for him. But I don't know. It'd be an interesting matchup. But then we had another kind of weird fake fight, and Yair Rodriguez called it out. But he was there was rumors going around that he was going to fight Zabit Magomed Sharapov. Did I do good on that?
Shout out Abe Lincoln.
Dude looks like Abe Lincoln, but he looked phenomenal in that last fight we watched him in, against what was his name? Something Chiak. Anyways, they were just going at it. Then we find out after the fact, Zabit had a broken hand. That's why he was just throwing everything at the dude. So that would have been a really cool matchup. But Yair is saying fake news. You know, it'd be an honor to fight you, but no contracts, no talks have even went underway. So I don't know, maybe more to come on that, and hopefully they make that fight because I think that'd be a really exciting fight.
That'd be a super exciting fight. That would be a great slugfest. That would be a lot of violence. That would be great for the casual fan. It would be great for the hardcore fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yair's been around for a little bit now. Zabit is an exciting young prospect.
Really exciting.
Really game, really bombastic in the ring, throwing everything and anything. And
super
I
tall
think
for that weight class.
Super tall, yeah.
It was weird. Seeing him fight that dude, he was so much taller than him.
He was. And Yair isn't necessarily a tall guy.
I don't think so.
So you know, it'd be an interesting stylistic matchup.
Yeah.
To see, but I hope Zabit continues to throw wildly like that, even when his hand heals.
Oh yeah, I think he will.
Because that was some spectacular shit to
see. And that fight ended just chaos. They were just throwing at each other, and it was awesome. Yeah. Another awesome fight that potentially, I'm pretty sure it's confirmed, but then I saw some other fake news saying it wasn't confirmed. Dustin Poirier and Alvarez, Eddie Alvarez too, the rematch. The first one ended in weird controversy where I think Poirier was down on the mat, maybe on like all fours, and Alvarez landed a knee or something, and Poirier thought it was a legal knee, so they called it, they rewatched it, and then I don't know, Poirier said he couldn't go on or some bullshit, and they called the fight no contest. I can't remember if it was no contest or not, but it ended in crazy controversy, and everybody was all pissed off about it. So hopefully they remake this fight and make it right this time. Someone needs to end it.
And I sincerely hope this fight gets made.
Yeah,
because you know you got Poirier, who's absolutely surging.
Mm-hmm.
You got Alvarez, who's been keeping a little bit of a lower profile lately.
Yeah, he fought. The one commonality they have is they both fought Justin Gaethje. Alvarez took care of him. That was I believe back in February. I saw that fight in Detroit, and that was a crazy fight. I mean, Alvarez was kind of getting hit a little bit too, but his toughness, his grit, and his technicality kind of outclassed Gaethje, just like Poirier's did. You know, so I think that's the first fight I was even excited for, and then when it ended like that, I was so just pissed off. So I'm excited to see this one again, and hopefully they make it right, man.
Man, I wish Gaethje would just tighten it all up a little bit.
But
I wish he would get a little bit more technical. I wish he would take that wonderful violence that he displays and just refine it a little bit.
He did say he's gonna wrestle more.
Okay.
So that was one thing we talked about when that Poirier and Gaethje fight happened was, dude, why didn't you wrestle? Like, you need to shoot for takedowns if you're getting fucked up. And he just wants to go out in a blaze of glory. That's just his style. But he's thinking he is going to start using more wrestling. So hopefully he does. Shout out Justin Gaethje. I think he's got a good formula for it. He's a
phenomenal prospect, man. The guy's mad talented, man. But he needs to be a little bit less obsessed with pure violence.
Well, that's what he's going for. He's like, hey, I'm a spectacle. You got to see me before I leave. I have 5 fights left. That's what I'm giving myself. So he might wrestle more. I don't think he's really going to tighten anything up, though. He knows what he knows, and it's kind of worked for him thus far to a degree. He did beat Michael Johnson. That was a crazy-ass fight. Yep. Eddie Alvarez didn't go his way. Poirier didn't go his way, but we'll see who they match him up with next. That'll be an exciting fight. Shout out Justin Gaethje for sure.
Absolutely.
So yeah, crazy fights, crazy week. It felt so weird this week. It was like unbelievable shit going on.
You know and we'll get to more of it later.
For sure.
You know, we'll get into Bellator and the fact that Scott Coker is not listening. He's not following the formula.
No,
he's not. You know, and we'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
But you and I were talking about speaking of Bellator, Michael Chandler. He was recently on JRE, your fellow Chrome Dome. And dude is incredibly intelligent. He knows his shit. I think he's a great fighter. He's had some wars with Eddie Alvarez. He wants to get him back. Joe Rogan was pushing him, saying, dude, you can get that fight back. You know how to do it. Go to the UFC.
And that's the whole thing, and that's the suspect part of it all to me, is that, you know, this kid Michael Chandler sits there and he conveys all of this confidence and all of this calmness and all of this self-assuredness on this podcast with Joe Rogan. But every time Joe kind of puts the bait out there and prods him, you know, regarding coming to the UFC, the guy just won't take it.
Yeah.
He won't take the bait at all.
No.
Joe brought it up repeatedly, and Michael Chandler just kind of really didn't say anything.
Yeah.
Or
played dumb. He was very coy.
Very coy.
Yeah.
Super coy. I prefer to keep my koi in the fish tank.
Right.
Please cut it out with that bullshit. So the guy's over here making some big claims, basically that he would beat anybody at 55, including, you know, the current champ of that division,
Khabib
Nurmagomedov.
Mm-hmm.
And basically anyone else who steps in his way. But the thing is, buddy, you know, if you're gonna sit there and you're gonna claim, buddy, you're gonna claim that you're the best 155er out there. I think we all know where the best 155ers fight. I think we all know it's not in Bellator.
No, dude, you got to do it, man. So hopefully that happens, but we'll see. We'll see with that. The other funny thing I want to mention with Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan's just been all over the place lately.
He's just making a name for himself, even bigger name. So you and I and pretty much everybody else in the MMA community know he's one of the most revered figures in the sport, in the community. He's been around forever, and he knows some shit about fighting too. Dude's a black belt under Eddie Bravo. He's got his Taekwondo background. He did some kickboxing too, so he knows the fight business, right? So he's on one of his podcasts, and he's talking about Colby Covington coming up, fighting. And at that time, Covington was talking shit about John Jones because they were roommates back in college. And Rogan just said, dude, you might want to slow your roll on talking shit to John Jones. He is one of the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. He can kill you with his hands. You might run into him one day. Covington comes back and says, Rogan, maybe you should watch your mouth. You're going to be commenting on my next fight coming up in Chicago. Maybe I see you and slap the shit out of you. And then Rogan goes on his show and basically just tells Colby, like, please don't slap the shit out of me. And I was like, bro, you should just let Colby have it.
I think that was just Joe Rogan being a little humble, a little trying to diffuse the situation,
For
or whatever
sure.
the case may be. Because, you know, Rogan's been around the UFC for a long time. Rogan values his relationship with the UFC. I think it's brought him a lot of notoriety, a lot of recognition, a lot of the money he makes. I mean, the guy was formerly the host on Fear Factor, or whatever the case may be.
He's been doing stand-up for a long time, though.
He has.
Long time.
He's got some good acts.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But, you know, that's an interesting point you make. You know, Joe Rogan is a BJJ black belt.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, he's a 10th planet BJJ black belt.
Right.
Which, you know, whatever. Shout out Eddie Bravo, you know, and all those guys. But, you know, the guy's got a martial arts background.
Yeah.
I feel like Joe Rogan could fold Colby Covington up into the saltiest of pretzels family with the cheese dip. You know, I mean, Colby Covington better stop. Listen, man. Colby Covington is trying to pick fights with entire nations.
Right.
He's trying to pick fights with probably the biggest thing to happen in the UFC so far in Mystic Mac.
Right.
He's trying to pick fights with... And now he's trying to pick a fight with probably one of the most influential figures in MMA in Joe Rogan.
Absolutely.
So the guy is just all over the place. I don't know how the fuck he would ever go to Brazil.
he's probably not going back to Brazil. That fight with RDJ was supposed to be, or RDA, sorry. It was supposed to be in Brazil, and they moved it to Chicago out of fear for his life. So, yeah, he's already fucked that up. And if you ask him, I'm sure it's fine because he calls the whole country a dump. But dude needs to slow his roll, man. Everybody knows it's an act.
Roll, otherwise, he's going to have Brazilians throwing more than just boomerangs at him.
Oh, yeah. And if you want to check out that unseen footage of your boy, Fabricio Verdum, Vicavala.
Boomerangio,
Boomerang Gang. Check out our Instagram. Just found out that video, and it's pretty funny. And then Colby goes and calls the cops. So people know this dude. The people that know him, they say that him and his dad are like a really nice family, and they're very respectful. And then you see this dude wearing a cheap ass Kmart pinstripe suit, trying to be Conor McGregor #2, and just trashing the whole country. So we know it's an act, dude.
And I think, and that's the whole thing. I think there's a lot of people that are trying to follow the Conor McGregor formula.
Oh yeah.
But they're faking the funk, man.
They are
faking the funk because obviously in the build up to Mystic Mac fighting Jose Aldo, where the fuck, he's pretty fucking irrelevant nowadays, but the guy was a legend at one point.
Sure.
In that whole world tour, he was very antagonistic towards Jose Aldo, and in a way, even the Brazilian people and so on, and Aldo's Brazilian heritage. But he never took it that far.
No.
To call the entire country a dump.
Right.
Obviously, McGregor's got a mean suit game. Man.
Oh, yeah.
The guy, he got hooked up with Lorenzo Fertitta's, Taylor, or whatever the case may be, and,
change the game. That fuck you pinstripe that he wore on the Mayweather.
I don't know how the fuck this guy was, quote unquote, comfortable walking around Las Vegas in the 110-degree weather with a 3-piece suit on.
Right.
I don't know how the fuck that works. Listen, I enjoy a nice suit, but I mean, I'm not gonna be roasting in one of them bitches. I went to Las Vegas. I ain't wearing no 3-piece goddamn suit. I wore fucking swim trunks and I'm a fucking wife beater.
Right.
And a hat.
And was still hot as a bitch.
And was still hot as fucking, and a hat, because your boy ain't got no hair on his head, so it burns and all that. So, moving right along. Like I said, yeah, Covington, I'm pretty sure, is trying to put on an act, but he's trying to put it on in all the wrong ways.
Yeah,
man.
And he's landed on too thick. It's just too much, dude. Like, okay, I think you've built enough hate in the MMA community, amongst other fighters, amongst the fans. Even if they're not fans of yours, you've created that for yourself now to where people want to come and see you get your ass beat if they don't like you.
I can't wait for RDA to smack the fuck out of him.
We're going to see. I mean, dude, he looked pretty good against Damian Maia, and that's kind of hard to do because styles make fights, but I think it should be a good matchup, man, and I'm excited to see what happens, and I'm right there with you. I hope RDA hits him with a lot more than a fucking boomerang.
A lot more.
More weird shit. Just weird shit this week, man. Our boy Oscar De La Hoya.
Listen, man, you need to tell your cousin, all right, to calm the fuck down. Stay in his lane. Listen.
And we ain't talking about those white lanes.
No. We ain't gonna bring those up right now.
No.
Try not to anyways. But like I said, man, tell your cousin. Listen, he had a great run boxing. He's had a great run as a boxing promoter. Just stay in that.
Stay there.
Man. Listen. Just because the premier guy in your stable just got caught taking dick pills or steroids or whatever the fuck he got caught taking.
Mm-hmm. Canelo Alvarez, yeah.
Fucking Canelo. Fucking
fuck
Canelo
that big
Alvarez.
fight up. Yeah.
Just because that happens doesn't mean you need to try to cross over to MMA.
And even if you want to, the proper way to do that is to not try to bring over 45-year-old Chuck Liddell to fight for you.
48-year-old Chuck Liddell.
Whatever the fuck. Dude, like, no, man.
Yeah.
You can't.
Oscar De La Hoya is trying to move into MMA by signing Chuck the Iceman Liddell. Listen, man, the guy is 48. He ain't the Iceman no more. He might be, the
icicle.
He might be lukewarm water by this point, man. Oh, no.
It's just a shitty mess. I don't understand it. And then you got, what was that event that Cyborg was at? That she was wearing that boxing shirt and she took her UFC belt. What event was that for? Was that the that was Cinco de Mayo, Triple G.
Triple G against whoever it was. Yeah.
That guy, they got put away in the second round. Shout out to Triple G for that.
Shout out to Gennady, man.
Yeah. Cyborg wants to take on, what's her name?
Breakhouse. Cynthia Breakhouse.
Yeah, she's like world-renowned, best female boxer in the world, and Cyborg wants to take her on.
Yeah, Cyborg comes to the event with a cheeky little shirt with some boxing gloves on it, and Cyborg versus Breakhouse coming in summer of 2019. The interesting part of all that is that the schedules seem to line up according to that kind of a timeline.
Yeah.
Cyborg's got 2 fights left on her UFC contract.
Mm-hmm.
Cyborg's been talking for a long time about possibly making the move to boxing.
Yeah.
So as weird as it sounds, as out there as it sounds,
it's probably one of the most normal things.
When you really sit down and look at it, there's a decent chance there. I mean, from Breakhouse's side of the matchup of the coin, I'm not sure how much incentive there is to take that fight beyond, I guess beyond financial incentive. There's going to be some of that. But you got to remember, these are women.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're, and all due respect to the females of the world, man. Don't get me wrong. But you're not going to draw the same amount of pay-per-view buys. You're not going to draw the same...
It's not going to be Mayweather and McGregor.
It's not going to be Mayweather and McGregor. Nothing for a long time is going to be Mayweather and McGregor, let alone a women's fight.
Yeah.
Let alone a women's boxing fight. Family, listen. If it wasn't for Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla Ali,
mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even know that women's boxing existed.
Yeah. She put it on the map.
And then I forgot for a while, and then now all of a sudden out of nowhere, Cyborg wants to fight top women's boxer out there.
Mm-hmm.
I said she wants to fight the what? The top what?
The who?
The what? The top what? The top women's boxer. Women's boxer. I had to play that over in my head about 10 times to figure out how the words women's and boxer belong in the same phrase. I'm still working on that. I don't want my woman wearing no boxers, I'm going to tell you that much.
No, yeah. Well, maybe it's weird, maybe it's not, but it's just, it's always just something on this landscape that just pops up out of nowhere, and you're like, what in the actual fuck? Another one. I don't know what to make of this. I don't know if it's a publicity stunt. My man's known for it. 50 Cent calling out Rampage Jackson, fighting for the title of who is the baddest Jackson on the planet. And Rampage, I love Rampage because he's a character, man. He's crazy as hell. He's funny. He's goofy. He's a womanizer. His interviews with women reporters are fucking just cringeworthy. But he came out and said, "Oh, I know why 50 Cent wants to fight me, because he was up for that role in what was that movie called?" Damn, my man's choking over here. You know what I'm talking about? The A-Team. That's what it was. And he wanted to be B.A. And Rampage got the part over him. So he Rampage feels he's still kind of salty about that. And it's going to happen. And guess what organization this is going to happen, Nedim? Which premier fighting organization is going to make this fight happen for the fans?
God damn it, Scott Cokehead.
Pretty much.
Listen, man. we done gave you the formula in the last episode. All right.
We said for a nominal fee.
Nominal fee.
We'll sit in on those strategy meetings.
And then you turn around and you pull some bullshit like this. Bellator is going to put on, more likely than not, 50 Cent versus Rampage Jackson. Now, in the last episode, I reached out to my mans, Scott Coker.
Yeah.
I told him to slide in the DMs and that Brandon and I would take care of him. We would give him the roadmap. We would give him the Google Maps. We would give him the MapQuest. We would give him the Bing Maps. Whatever he wants to get, we gonna set it up for him. Cut the crap, man. Cut out the bullshit. Cut out the Dada 3 Trillion versus Kimbo Slice.
Cut out this heavyweight
bullshit.
Grand Prix. So Bellator 199 is coming up this weekend.
This ain't no it's true Grand Prix. This is a 1997 broken down Grand Prix.
A couple of them
with the AC that ain't working and the cracked block and the bad transmission and the fan belt is slipping and that bitch ain't going nowhere.
Yeah,
that's what type of Grand Prix we're talking about here.
Well, yeah, there's those couple old guys in there, but there's this weekend it's Ryan Bader and King Mo, which. Like I said, Bader is the best fighter in there, in my opinion. He's one of the best ones in there. I don't know who else is in there, but Chael Sonnen and Fedor are fighting, and then I think Matt Mitrione is still in the mix. I don't know. It's hard to keep up with this just crazy, exciting Grand Prix that Bellator is putting on. So once again, they're showing why they're a subpar organization that no one knows what the fuck they're trying to do with their marketing and promotions. Cut the crap.
Just come on, man.
You gotta get like UFC, and you gotta start making that Walt Disney money, right?
Listen, before we get to that, all right, let me make some predictions on future fights that Bellator is gonna make.
All right.
Our boy Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
If he doesn't stop fucking around. And come to the UFC, I think Scott Coker is liable to put him up against Lil Wayne.
Yeah, maybe. Well, Lil Wayne's probably a bantamweight. He might even be a fucking flyweight.
Kelly.
There we go. Okay. He looks like he could be a 155er.
Yeah, that sounds just about right, right? Who else could we be talking about here? Michael Chandler versus ASAP Ferg.
Sure.
I don't know. ASAP Rocky.
Yeah.
ASAP whatever the fuck.
But listen, I mean, even 50 Cent, like, if you're going to go after some rappers, even 50 Cent now is like, okay, yeah, he's 50 Cent. He came out in 2003 with Get Rich or Die Trying and had a couple of decent songs after that, but he fizzled long ago.
Yeah, obviously he took his focus off the music game a little bit, started investing, the vitamin water and what.
He's still getting money, but I don't think it's from rap anymore. So if you're going to go after some rappers, you can't start naming like Lil Wayne's getting there. He's kind of, he's sunsetting a little bit, but you got to go back a little bit to that era, 2003. So maybe like Cameron will come back around. And
Cameron's a tall guy, man.
Juelz Santana.
Juelz Santana.
Juelz
man.
Santana.
There you go. Michael Chandler versus Juelz Santana.
I like it.
In Bellator.
I like it.
Or,
that's the match to make.
Jim Jones.
Ballin'.
Ja Rule.
Ja Rule.
Let's
put some Ja Rule up in the mix.
Let's do it. Ja Rule v. Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
At 155 in Bellator.
For the
Michael
strap.
Chandler, cut the crap. Get over to UFC. Scott Coker, cut the crap.
Figure your promotion out.
We gonna give you the roadmap. Nominal fucking fee. Listen, you're gonna get a return on your money that you're not gonna be able to believe. Speaking of money, speaking of lots of money, speaking of actual premier.
Lucrative.
Yeah. Tell them about the serious moves that the UFC is making.
Man. UFC. So right now they're streaming everything through like Fight Pass, their own little app. Then they got the UFC on Fox deal, FS1. That contract actually ends this year, 2018. As of January 2019, they struck a deal with ESPN and Walt Disney. They're going to put fights on ESPN Plus, which is their little streaming service. It's $4.99 a month subscription, which is better than the Fight Pass, but it kind of begs the question, what's going on with Fight Pass then? Is that going away, or are you going to make your fans do $10 a month monthly subscription there and the $4.99? But it sounds like everything's going to get moved over to ESPN Plus possibly, and there's a lot more events. So ESPN didn't even buy all of the events yet. There's still many more. I think they're going to do 15 cards on ESPN Plus. Plus they're going to air some stuff on ESPN TV. Yeah, that's how you make moves, man. That's huge.
That's how you make moves. That's why Dana White is who he is.
Yeah.
That's why Dana White has stayed on top. That's why Dana White took an organization that was basically unheard of and turned it into what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Dana White. I know that I like to make some pretty negative comments about Dana White. I know that I obviously have the opinion that Dana White is one of the biggest snakes in the grass there ever was. But if you want to talk about a guy that needs some respect put on his name,
Sprinkle that shit on.
Name somebody that has been as influential to a sport as Dana White has to MMA.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. I'll wait. I'll give you a minute. I'll give you all the minutes in the world. Go in the comments on whichever one of our pages you want. Slide us a DM. Do whatever you want to do. Listen, anybody that can make a sound argument, any kind of halfway sound argument, all right, as to somebody being as influential to a sport as Dana White has been to MMA, I'm going to send you a $25 gift card to B-Dubs and my favorite beard oil.
Nice.
Yeah, because I don't use it anymore.
There you go. You get rid of it.
You know, your boy's struggling out here.
It's all good. No, I agree. There's I can't think of any, at least. You know, right now, I mean, dude has bent over backwards for this organization, and it's kind of shitty because, you know, now, you know, there's a lot of fighters, and you know, we didn't really talk about it too much, but you got Leslie Smith doing the Project Spearhead stuff for the Fighters Union, and she's asking like, where's the fighters' money in this deal?
We can get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this Project Spearhead. Let's talk about this whole Fighters Union and MMA. You know what I mean? Let me tell y'all about why it could never work.
Enlighten us.
And, you know, I'm not sure if Brandon's going to play devil's advocate and take the other side of this argument. But
I'll try. I like playing devil's advocate.
I'm not sure there's much of an argument to be had. But listen here. All right. Fighters Union.
Sure.
That's great. It sounds great. More rights for the fighters. More money for the fighters.
Collective bargaining.
Collective bargaining, you know.
Better pay.
Whatever. But you are dealing with a landscape where there is only one game in town. And that game is called the UFC. You also have this little sideshow, this little freak show circus that's putting on fights like Jackson versus Jackson, 50 Cent versus Rampage. You got Joel Santana versus Michael Chandler, and so on and so forth by the name of Bellator. But you really only have... It's a monopoly. It's more or less a monopoly.
They've cornered the market. Absolutely.
So how are you going to collectively bargain? Where is your leverage coming from? What are you threatening to do? Because, okay, you try to sit down, form a union for, you know, all the fighters who are obviously, you know, subcontractors or whatever to the UFC, and you sit down with the UFC, you sit down with Dana White, and what is he going to tell you? He'll laugh in your face. He's going to laugh in your face. Why? Because what are you going to threaten him with?
Mm-hmm.
pay my fighter more, or he'll go to what?
Yeah.
He'll go to Bellator? He'll go to Bellator so he can fight Lil Wayne?
Bye, Felicia.
You know?
Yeah, no, I mean, with that point, it is hard to play devil's advocate, right? But something that I think, and you kind of mentioned it with the subcontractors, or however the UFC fighters are actually labeled. They're not employees of the UFC. So that's a big wrinkle in this whole story. But I don't know, man. I think, if there has to be something on Dana White's part, the organization's part, that eventually comes to the consensus that it's not really fair. And yeah, it's fucked up, because they're going to be like, so what? Yeah, go to Bellator, go to a professional fight league or whatever other stupid organization there is. We don't need you. But imagine if someone like fucking Conor McGregor or one of these megastars stood up and said, yeah, I support that. Everybody needs more money, And we're not talking, I mean, some of these people aren't talking about making Conor McGregor money, because the only way you make Conor McGregor money is to be Conor McGregor. He did that for himself. So, yeah, it's that carrot on the stick. You got to put in the work to make that money. But if some people are just going in and fighting and doing their job and they're winning, but they're not gaining that exposure, you can't, I mean, and especially, here's my main argument that I'll say. UFC all along has been trying to edge its way up in society to be taken seriously as a sport organization. That's why they came out with the UFC Reebok kits. Everybody has their own uniforms. They're all uniform now. Well, if you're going to start doing that and you want to be taken seriously in the sports community as an organization, you got to start paying these fucking people better. You can fucking play cricket and make more money. You can play water polo professionally and make more money. You can play putt-putt golf professionally. You can do extreme frothing, frisbee golf, and make more money than some of these UFC fighters.
You piqued my interest a little bit with this putt-putt.
Oh yeah, it's a thing.
If you could send me some links and some sign-ups and so on and so forth.
You got a mean mini putt-putt stroke?
Hey, man. For the right amount of money, man. This engineering shit is for the birds. I'll putt all day. Putt.
But no, seriously, man, that's what it is. If they want to be taken seriously in the sports community, they got to start helping these fighters out, man. And I think a big part of all of this was when they took away the sponsors. We've talked about it before. When they took away the sponsors for these fighters, dude, that was a big blow. And then when they say, oh, yeah, you're getting a piece of this Reebok deal. Okay, well, give them a piece of this ESPN deal. Give them a piece of everything. If they're subcontractors, make them employees. Do something to better these fighters' lives that are putting it all on the line to get your ratings up.
I mean, to a certain extent, the whole Reebok kit deal, it was a raw deal for the vast majority of fighters because they're not getting much money out of it. But at the same time, I mean, my favorite basketball team, Boston Celtics, so you're not going to see at shoot-around Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Al Horford, Gordon Hayward, and all of them wearing mismatched ass shirts and warm-ups and all this stuff with the names of their various individual sponsors. No, you're going to see them with the Nike Boston Celtics warm-ups on because it's a team.
Now,
it's an organization.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Was there some type of clause in the Reebok deal where they said they couldn't even get sponsors outside the cage? Because there are people. I mean, Conor, he has all these different fucking sponsors, and you see him doing it on the side. They just can't wear him in the cage.
Yeah, and I think that's the extent of it. And that's what I was getting to. Just like any other sport, these athletes definitely have endorsement deals. But they don't get to show up to the competition arena with just whatever the hell on.
True.
And that's the case with in a lot of the major sports, the true top stars make more money off endorsements than they do off their, salary for the team they play for. You know what I mean? But you don't see Cristiano Ronaldo showing up at the Santiago Bernabeu with these shirts on that have the name of all these sponsors that sponsor him and all this. You don't see LeBron James showing up with, whoever sponsors him and their shirts on and so forth. There's got to be a uniform. There's got to be a cohesiveness. But outside of that arena, those guys are free to a certain extent, within the bounds of good taste. They're free to wear whosever logos they want. They're free to hop on Instagram and advertise whosever logo they want.
Right.
They're free to hop on commercials for whoever they want. They're free to wear whoever's shoes they want.
Yeah,
and so on and so forth.
I think you see some of it. I don't know. I don't know why more don't pursue that. Then I feel like only maybe the top names are really getting out there and promoting some other type of product. But I still fall back on, if UFC wants to be considered and taken seriously as a sports organization, they really got to think about fighter pay, because you got baseball players, you have third string, fourth string quarterbacks that are just raking in the dough. And there's been numerous comparisons to, the UFC's annual revenue, to these compared to these other organizations. And maybe it's not there yet, and maybe that's why they do it, but it's got to be on their radar. And Dana always says too, like, what do you think about MMA union? I'm all for it. Do it. But maybe in the back of his mind, he's like, you're not going to fucking get anywhere with it. Like what you said. Oh, okay, you want more money? Go to Bellator, see how they treat you. Go to a professional fight league and enter their $1 million contest for one fighter, and the rest get peanuts. Or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, who knows?
Absolutely. And Dana White's never going to be opposed to a fighters union, just because he knows how dominant of a position he's in.
Oh, yeah.
He knows that he holds this game by the balls in a vice grip.
Mm-hmm.
You want to organize a union? Absolutely. That seems like a fun little side project for you.
Yeah.
As if you weren't busy enough training and
right.
And trying to actually win these fights that we're gracious enough to organize for you, and so on and so forth. If you want to take on a little side activity and organize a union and be cute and have little meetings and little cupcakes and little shirts and little whatever the fuck, go ahead.
Yeah.
But where is it really going to get you?
Yeah.
Listen, these fighters are not going to start getting paid better until Dana White and the fighter and the powers that be decide that they're going to get paid better.
Yeah.
Unless you're a breakout star.
Oh, yeah.
Unless you're a Conor McGregor.
Sure.
With all the charisma in the world that could sell a condom to a nun.
Sell salt to a slug.
I'm bad at those type of analogies, so we're going to cut it off there.
Okay.
No more. Then you can make the money. Then you can make that Burger King money.
Mm-hmm.
Then you can make that, I'm going to throw this dolly through the window of this bus, and I know that I got the money to hire good enough lawyers to wriggle and slime my way out of it, and so on and so forth. Then you can do all that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, though, I mean, I agree. It is going to be hard, but what I can say is huge shout out to Leslie Smith for at least attempting to do what no other fighter's done and stand up and say, hey, this isn't right how we... And she's not the first, right? They did like a UFC retreat, and there were videos coming out saying, that's when they broke the news about the Reebok deal, and they're like, what does this do for me and my family? And there were people that were pissed off about it. So she's not the first.
That's the whole thing. UFC, the Reebok deal came through. Everybody was pissed.
Oh, yeah.
But how many people did anything about it?
Yeah,
how
exactly.
How many fighters stopped fighting?
They didn't.
How many fighters left the UFC?
But it's shitty because it's like for some of these people, this is all they've ever done. They don't have a plan B. They don't have a fallback. They've just been fighting. Wrestling in high school, went right into MMA, and this is all they know how to do.
Listen, man, the baddest man on the planet, the UFC heavyweight champion, trains full-time, works full-time. The man is a firefighter. He's an EMT. And he is also the most accomplished UFC heavyweight championship by number of title defenses.
Oh, yeah.
That there ever has been.
No, I know. I mean, that's great for him. He's got that skill set. I mean, I don't see everybody jumping in and being firefighters. Sure, they can go out and get jobs. And I remember hearing about all these other fighters that were fighting in the UFC and still had jobs because they couldn't afford the simple lifestyle that they had. You know, because once they get the check from the UFC for winning their fight or whatever, then they got to divvy it up with the trainers, the nutritionists, this, that, sponsors, whoever else. Like, so it adds up. I see your point too, but I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I think I really do think they need better pay. They need to be compensated, and it just needs to be more uniform with the other sports if they want to be taken seriously, and stop all this fucking hop, skip, and jumping the damn rankings. If the rankings aren't there to mean anything, then do away with them. That's one of the biggest things. Literally, Congress. They went to Congress, and Congress was telling them, like, you had number 13 fight for the title. Like, they were pulling up the stats, and they're like, how does that make sense? So,
well, and that's the whole thing. There was a time before breakout stars like Conor McGregor, when guys were really only interested in fighting, and they weren't, any individual fighter by himself wasn't raking in an overly significant amount of revenue compared to another for the UFC. And so you could have this purely merit-based who's number 1 versus who's number 2, who's number 3 versus who's number 4, and then whoever wins that fight fights the winner of that other fight, and so on and so forth. But when you got a situation where you've got a Conor McGregor, it doesn't matter if he's number 46. He is the one that's pulling in the money. At the end of the day, guys can talk all they want about how they fight for the love of the game and all this bullshit. I'm sorry, man. At the end of the day, if money were no object, none of us would work.
Yeah.
You're in it for the money. Even if consciously you're not, consciously you think you're in it for, you know, the love of the game.
I love fighting.
I love beating the shit out of guys. I'm sure you do. But why aren't you also firefighting on the side, too,
right,
if it ain't about the money? Why aren't you also... Because apparently you can be super successful at the fighting while still holding a full-time job.
Right.
So if it ain't about the money, I mean, go be a nurse on the side, too. Go be... go flip burgers, I don't care. But stop pretending that it's not at least partly about the money. It's about the money. It's about the Benjis.
All about the Benjis.
And it's like that for the UFC. It's like that for Dana White. If you're a boring ass motherfucker, if all you can do is show up in the cage and fight, what are you really doing? Who are you captivating? Who are you bringing in? Who are you pulling in? MMA just still to this day is not enough of a mainstream sport to where if the only thing you're great at is fighting, people know you.
Right.
There's great fighters in the UFC, phenomenal fighters in the UFC, who the general public has never heard of. Go walk down the street. Listen, alright? Case in point, go walk down the street and ask the average person who Robert Whittaker is.
Yeah.
Ask them. What are they going to tell you? They don't have any idea. They're going to ask you if that's an actor.
Is that Forrest Whitaker?
Yeah, yeah.
The dude with the fucked up eye?
Yeah. You know, ask people walking down the street who... Hell. Demetrius Johnson.
Yeah.
Ask him who that is. The guy's an absolute legend within the UFC. But go walk down the street and ask the average person who Demetrius Johnson is. They're not going to have... Ask him who TJ Dillashaw is. Ask him who Cody Garbrandt is. Ask them who any number of guys. Yeah. Ask them who Stipe Miocic is.
Oh, yeah.
They're not going to have any idea. And that's the point. These are phenomenal fighters, but they don't sell it well enough.
Mm-hmm.
Stipe Miocic, shout out to Stipe Miocic. He's one of my favorite fighters.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible work ethic, incredible fight style. But the guy's just humble. He's a good old boy. He wants to.
Not a big talker.
Not a big talker at all.
No controversy.
No, nothing.
Yeah.
And
just for that all-around good dude.
For that reason alone, he's going to have to keep firefighting for who knows how long.
Yeah.
Because the money just isn't
there.
But
I don't know. I think his money, I think now that he's on a tear and he's defended the belt, 4 times? I mean, that keeps compounding. You get the win bonuses, your contracts re-up. So he's probably making good money. It's just it speaks to his soul and the type of person that he is. So
But it's not I'm good for the rest of my life money when the guy's only 35 or whatever he is.
If he's smart with it, it could be.
The guy, off his purses and win bonuses and whatnot, when you pull that all together by the end of his career, unless he all of a sudden out of nowhere gets a lot more exciting than he is right now, the guy might pull in, all told, $7 million in purses throughout his entire career. Family, it's 2018. You're not going to live the rest of your life on $7 million. From 35 until potentially 135. Good luck with all that.
Yeah.
I mean, so.
No, valid points. I mean, yeah, we'll see how this whole Project Spearhead thing shakes out, because it's definitely interesting. It's something that needs to change, but maybe you're right. Maybe it's just not time. It's probably not going to happen. But tell us what you guys think. Drop us a line in the comments. Hit us up on Twitter at Rear Naked Truth. Hit us up on the Instagram. We're at the Rear Naked Truth.
And don't just talk to us about what you think about Project Dickhead or whatever it is.
Dickhead.
Not just about that, but anything.
Project Mushroom Head.
Mushroom Tip. Hooded Wizard. As we told you last time, this talking that we're doing is only part of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This is all about the truth, the rear naked truth, and part of that is your contribution. Part of that is your comments, your input, your feedback, your feed forward. Whatever the case may be. Hop on that IG, man. Hop on that SoundCloud. Hop on that Twitter. Hop all over the place. Brandon's going to tell you more.
Yeah. Hit us up on iTunes. We'll have new episodes up there. We're doing the Thursday. This one might be a little bit late because my boy was under the weather yesterday, so you probably didn't want to hear his froggy
Dealing
voice.
With the plague out here.
The plague in Michigan is no joke. I had it last week. You probably heard me clearing my throat every 5 seconds. So, hit us up on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher for all my podcast people. We're on YouTube. We're putting all the old episodes up there as well, just as audio. Like Nedim said last time, we're going to come correct with the video so you can see our stupid faces. But yeah, man, we're just trying to get this thing going. We want to hear from you guys. Interact with us however you know how. And follow, subscribe, like, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. And Nedim, tell them what kind of truth that we like.
Always remember. Never forget. Shout out DJ Khaled. Don't ever play yourself. This is the Rear Naked Truth.